Well, good people, we will go ahead and get her started in deference to your time. Thanks so much for joining us for our breakout session. Again, this is the NAMAC Wisconsin 2024 WISDOT Summit DBE Contracting Real Talk Panel Discussion. So DBE Contracting Real Talk Panel Discussion. We are aiming to have our panelists share their experiences being DBE and minority business enterprises, and we're going to try to leave time at the end for some Q&A so that you can ask, particular questions that may have come up during the time of their presentations. My name is Tim McMurtry. I serve as Executive Director of Infrastructure Business Development at NAMAC, Wisconsin. And for those of you who might have not heard it earlier, NAMAC is the largest and oldest minority-owned construction trade association in America, founded in 1969 in Oakland, California. And there are a number of chapters, about 23 to 25 chapters across the nation, including Wisconsin's chapter. And we are delighted to be here with you all on this morning. So, without any further ado, I want to introduce our distinguished panel. We had originally 4 panelists that were going to be with us today. I got a note this morning from one of our panelists that he had a family emergency, so he may not be able to join us. And if he's able to come on in, that's cool. If not, we'll rock with what we have. Is that all right? Excelente. So first up, we have Mr. Quinn Long, President of Clear Cut Solutions, LLC. Next up, we have Adonica Randall, President of Abaxent, LLC. She also likes to call herself the Chief Problem Solver. And last but not least, we have Tyrone Johnson, President of Brothers Infrastructure Group. So, because this is real talk, and we're all adults here, we're going to have a real conversation. So, that being said, to my panelists, thanks so much for rocking with us today. Can you each tell us a bit about your business, how long you've been in business, and what prompted you to take this particular business journey? We'll start to my far left and work our way to my right. Mr. Quinn.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Quinn Long, owner of Clear Cut Solutions. May will be 5 years in business. What prompted me to be in this DOT part of the journey was actually the Golden Shovel Awards. I want to say probably the 37th, where I met Madalena, and she was newly positioned, her new position with the DOT, and she gave me an application for the DBE Mentor Protege program.
Good morning. I'm Adonica Randall. I'm the president of Abaxent LLC. We're a 23-year-old minority female-owned, nationally certified technology broker house. I am part of this Department of Transportation journey. I represent NAMAC. I'm their tech chair, and I also am on the WAVE committee for autonomous vehicles.
Good morning. My name is Tyrone Johnson. I'm president of Brothers Infrastructure Group. We go by Big Construction. We started about 4 years ago. I come from government and transitioned during the pandemic because I felt like I didn't want to sit in the office or sit at home for 18 months and wait on somebody to tell me when I can get back to work. So we took off. We built a relationship with organizations like MMSD, City of Milwaukee, and other small organizations like Milwaukee Christian Center, and our brand and our company just kept growing. 2023, I just got assigned with a mentor, which is Ignego Concrete Company, and we're working together on our our plan for growth for the next 2 years. So that's how I got started, and that's how I'm here today.
Excellent. If you can keep the mic, you guys kind of share that piece. What sort of impact, and we'll start with you, Tyrone, we'll work our way back the other way. What sort of impact has being a certified minority/diverse business enterprise had on your business growth and capacity building thus far? What sort of impact has being a certified minority/diverse business enterprise had on your business growth and capacity? Has it been advantageous to be certified at all?
You got to do the work. It's not about the certification. You got to be able to perform. For me, it's, I mean, you can go in there and say you're a DBE, but if you don't show the work and you don't bid properly, you don't execute the project, it really don't hold any weight.
Same question,
Same
boss?
question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, certifications. Being certified in NMSDC for the last 21 years, WeBank certified for women for the last probably 16 years, part of NAMAC, certified by the city, the state, of multiple states. He's right, you do have to do the work, but the certifications buy you visibility, is what they buy you. They buy you visibility by being part of that organization. Those organizations also should be providing you education, connections, and ways to expand your business. You're right, you do have to do the work, but the certifications are very helpful for that, and they also introduce you to other people in the network so that you can begin to create a network. Because as much as most small entrepreneurs, that type of thing, you start to feel alone in your business, your network of those other people in those organizations become your partners. They become your lifelines to additional and other business. So I think that, I'll go back and say that the certifications do have value, and we've seen value in them over the decades.
I like to agree and add credibility. When I first started, I was sending estimates to every contractor that I thought was going for a job, and all they saw was a piece of paper. With these events, and you show up, you get credibility, and you get to know the people that you could potentially be doing business with.
Excellent. Donica, can you kind of follow up on that piece about when you become certified, and as Tyrone said, you still have to do the work, but the certification gets you in the door. You get a chance to get the education and connections. How should one, you kind of new, kind of shy, I'm not really a people person, and how do you take advantage of the certification and come to events like this and begin to build and establish relationships, and what is the value thereof?
You picked me between the two guys that was shy. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, the big value is connections and networking. Business is about networking. You think it's about your product, you think it's about all the other things you have, that's fine. But if nobody knows you have it, it has no value. They have to know you have it. You have to get out there. Folks have to see you. They have to know who you are, what you represent, and what your solution is that they may want to bring into their orbit of what they're doing. Quinn talked about being credible. You're going to build that credit. People don't know if you're credible if you're all in a corner by yourself. They have no idea who you are or what you do. So you can be shy. That's the purpose of getting certified. You can be shy all you want, but the certifications have a lot of events. They have a lot of things like this where you go in. Don't hesitate to walk up to somebody and say, what is it you do? You never know what that person does and how they can be of benefit to you, because they may be seeing opportunities that apply to you, but they don't apply to them. I would probably say that most of the people that are in my network, I pass business around constantly because it's things we don't do. We're technology. We do a lot of technology. I'm here representing technology because I generally have to explain to the construction community what the hell technology does and how we do it in that environment, because somebody has to be that voice. To do that. We are not an afterthought. I have to say that. I have to be willing to do that and go out. But the people I work with, I would have never been on the Wisconsin Autonomous Wave Commission for electronic vehicles had I not been visible and present. I was assigned that role, by the folks in the DOT. because they saw a value in what I brought to that. That was not something that they had before. So you just got to get visible and get out there and connect with people, because you never know who you're talking to, how that is leading to a role or a connection. I mean, we met how long ago, and we don't do the same things. We're not even in the same circles, but we are now. And we see each other quite a bit, and if there's things that come up, I know exactly what he does. And if somebody asks, I'm going to recommend that person. So.
So don't let that be lost on you. The power of networking is not just you being able to amplify who you are to someone so you can get business, but it's also a purpose that you can pass business on to people, you know what I'm saying, that might not be your wheelhouse, but you can help them get business because you know the connect that's looking for what they have. And it's a seed time and harvest time type thing. And oftentimes with the law of reciprocity, you usually get way more than what you've sown. So don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't do that, but my person so-and-so does. Give them a call. Here's their number. Two-way street of networking is what Adonica was just saying. That was a gold nugget. Thank you for that one. I'm going to have to put that down in my notes and use that myself. All right. Next question we have. Tyrone, I'm going to have you answer this one first. For WSDOT and other federal contracts, there's a lowest bid type situation on the contracting side. So how have you navigated the lowest bid construction side waters with prime contractors, even the partnership that you have now with the company that you just mentioned, and or secured prime opportunities for your company? How do you navigate the lowest bid piece, and how do you get in front of GCs to help them to see what you bring to the table?
So a lot of this information is already out there. You have work that was done from previous years, so you can look at that. You can also look at the DOT website. They give you the average price of the individual items, so you know where you should be at. And then you talk to some of your suppliers and knowing where where the prices are at for 2024 versus 2023, so that you can offer the same value that you have your competitors offering. Because most of the time your primes are probably getting that same number from 4 other guys, and if you don't know who your competitors are, how can you beat them? So for me and Quentin does salt cutting, I do concrete. We need to know how many other bidders are going to be there that's going to be doing salt cutting, how many other bidders that's going to do the concrete, so that we can stay competitive, because this is a competitive market. And lowest bidder, so you might have to cut your cost by 25 cents. 25 cents times 10,000 square feet. That might be another 10 grand or something, but can you afford to do that? So knowing who you're bidding against, but also knowing what the historical data has always kept me competitive.
Gotcha. Quinn, you have anything to add to that?
Sure. It all depends on what your service is also. You can do like Tyrone said and look at historical data, who won the job, what the price per unit was, and then you can also try to figure out if you can perform the work at that unit price. A lot of it is school of hard knocks. I think I haven't lost on a job, knock on wood, but I've done them for free. I didn't make any money, and and you got to know you can't win every job either, and you got to know what your costs are so you can stay in business.
Can you just expound a little bit on that? Because for most business owners, it's about, the bottom line is making money and all this kind of stuff. And so you don't want to, I guess, underestimate a job and get taken to the cleaners. But what goes into the decision to say, you know what? I might not have a whole lot of margin on this. I might end up doing it for free, but it's still worth my while to rock this job. What is your matrix in making those kind of decisions for you and your business?
For me, it's how frequently am I going to work with this customer? If they're doing things like keeping work coming, and they're doing things like paying timely, and their crew is good to work with and coordinating, I'll take a little bit less, no doubt, just to keep that relationship going.
Okay. Adonica?
I was kind of thinking through that one. We've all taken work, and especially when you start a business, you may take on work because the partnership may have more value than the actual bottom line, which is really to follow on what Quinn said. Future business and future business opportunity is definitely a big one. But the other thing I would say, and especially when even on the technology side, I'm competing with stuff, right? And so price becomes important. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, how much are you putting into research and innovation and what you bring to the table for that partner in that job? And it may not be a matter of cutting price. It may be a matter of bringing in some innovative thought or doing something a different way or bringing in a different set of partners. Or you got to think outside the box because it's not always, it seems to be because we're entrepreneurs and small or mid-sized that it's about money. It's not always about money. And sometimes you have to just put the money over there and say, this is not about money. What else should I be doing? Or what else could I be looking at to get a job? We've had a lot of jobs where we've been voluntold. That's the job that we're going to go do. And because I'm on the technology side, probably 90% of the time we're doing things that have never been done. So it's hard to price it. It's hard to figure out what you're going to end up with. So you got to step back and say, what are we really looking at, and what is the goal here? Because a lot of times the goal is not to make the money. The goal may be to make a name. The goal may be to establish something that's never been done before. The goal, and what is that worth? We've done a lot of things where the goal was to establish what's never been done before. That gets us the next job. To Quinn's point, that gets you the next role. So looking for longevity in there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, on the certification tip, it gets the exposure, it gets you in the rooms, gives you kind of an on-ramp to establishing relationships and exposure. Have you all been able to leverage those certifications also for other private sector work as well? And if so, how has that been able to work out for you? Tyrone?
I just want to talk about the certifications a little bit before I answer that question, because most people think once you get certified, you're automatically going to win contracts. That's not happening.
Surprise, surprise.
So you got to understand that, okay, you got to get certified. You got to prove that you can do the work. But after that, that's when you got to really go in, and you're going to, like Quinn said and Donica said, now you got to go and bid low just to start building relationships. So you doing all that, and by the time you get to your third or fourth year, your certification, somebody asks you about your certification, you like, I got this work that I've been doing. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lean on your certification. You want to be that contractor that actually can do the work. And I think I learned that from Brian Mitchell. You got to be able to do the work. And it's not, you don't want to be, oh, well, I'm a DBE. No. Can you perform the work that you said you're here to do?
Say it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree. Nobody, especially you're in construction, you're building things, we're doing technology, we're backing in cyber, nobody cares that I'm a DBE. They care that I'm keeping them safe. And that's what they need to do, and I have to be able to prove that. But I think one of the things I did with most of the certifications when we get them, we strategize on an annual basis with the certifications we have and what that means. And when I say what that means is, why do I have this certification? Why do I even still have it? None of them are free, right? So why do we still have this? If we don't have a strategy that says we're going after that, whether it's government-based or not, the strategy becomes, I have this certification because it gets me what? Okay, it gets me an entree into something. A lot of the certifications we have give us entree into education. A lot of the ones that we have that are national, it's education based. They have a lot of the major corporations put a lot of money into these programs, and you can take advantage of that. We have some certifications for some manufacturing things, and it's opened up the door with AI pieces. It also opens up the door with what they need. Right? So what I'm doing by being certified by certain organizations is I'm learning them. as we're doing that. But we use them strategically. So we have this. So on an annual basis, what are we going to do with this cert? Are we keeping this one for this year? Are we going to renew this? And if we are going to renew it, why? No. So you have to treat that like anything else that you've invested your money in. Is you have to say, I'm going to use this. Because if you got certs and you don't use them, now you got to question why you have them, especially if you're paying for them.
No, that was good. The certification has always been the icebreaker of conversation at networking events for me. There's instances where people are excited to hear that you have that, and there's times where it can be a roadblock in your growth. I was looking to add another type of service, and the client I was trying to work for one time said, well, if you don't have the certification, we're not going to use you. And then I go to get the certification, and they say, well, you got to prove that you did the job once already, and we'll give you the certification. So, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg sometimes?
Good stuff, good stuff. So before we got a few more questions for you all. We're going to open it up for questions from you all in the audience. So write down anything that might have, tickled your fancy or piqued your interest. We'll give you a chance to chime in a bit here. Over the course of your career, the money piece and, having the money in advance and those kinds of things. I got two questions. Well, I got question 1, A, B, and C. Truth be told, that's what it is. So the first part of that, question 1A is, what are the 3 most valuable lessons you've learned? Question 1B is, what have been your 3 greatest challenges? And the question 1C will be, when you are mobilizing for a project, how much bread should you have on hand to be able to help you not go under if you have a net 30, net 60, net 90 payment situation? Anybody can start. Anybody. Somebody. Anybody. Anybody. 3 most important things you've learned in your business career. 3 most important things.
Oh, wow. Okay. The guys both looked at me crazy like they're not doing this. Okay. Probably the 3 most important things is know what you do, do it well, and have a big network of folks around you that also know what you do and that you do it well, that you can lean on. So you need advisors. If you don't have one, if you don't have a network of advisors and people to help you in your journey, you need to get them. They don't need to all be business people who do what you do. Hence the reason for some of the certifications, because of the variedness of the people who are certified in those things. Go find somebody else. I would probably say that's probably the most valuable lesson that I've learned over the 24 years of having a business on my own. Because a lot of times I have no hesitancy in picking up the phone and calling somebody or appointing somebody as my mentor. Where the hell's Brian Mitchell?
Right there in front. Down in front. Shout out, Brian. Shout out, Brian.
I'm talking about you, and there you are. You appeared. So, I just told Brian, find somebody you admire, find somebody who's got a history, find somebody who's gone through this stuff, and say, I need your help. Construction was not my thing. The first construction project we ever did was the Fiserv Farm. We had never touched construction, ever. But we were voluntold that's what we were going to do. I picked up the phone and called Brian and said, I don't know what the hell we're doing. We need some help.
Let me just interject real quick. She said the first construction job they did as a technology company was the Fiserv Forum, where our world champion Bucks played. So you don't have to diminish what's available to you because it's your first one. I've never done this before. Imposter says, I want that. Go ahead.
I don't know if I wanted that. I was voluntold I was doing that.
Excuse the verbal faux pas.
Brian's phone number. He shouldn't have gave it to me. So I would say that's the most valuable lesson. A lot of times you're going to face things you've never done it. You don't have to do it by yourself. That's probably the number one thing.
Good stuff. Tyrone, Quinn?
What was
Three most
A?
important lessons you've learned over the course of your business career.
Valuable, and what was B?
B was the three biggest challenges.
Challenges. Okay, so these are going to be the same answers for me. A and B are going to be the same if I can narrow it down to three. The first one is flexibility. You got to have more than one way on how to do what you're going to do. If A doesn't work, B shouldn't be a surprise. The other thing is don't be scared to do the dirty work yourself. If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. I don't know, but I think as a leader, you win people over by jumping in the fire. And C, right now, I would say is you got to do your due diligence with everything. You have to know. You got to know the ins and outs of what you're doing down to the penny, and that's my answer for A and B.
Excellent. Thank you.
For me, number one, the most valuable lesson is know what you're doing out here. Know what your purpose is and know what your mission is for your company. You got to know your mission, because if you're just out here willy-nilly or just trying to figure it out on the fly, you have no direction. You have no destination. So you got to know what your mission and your destination is so that you can get to that certain point. And the next thing is the challenge. You got to make sure that you find the right people that can help you in getting to that destination. So those two things are critical when you're trying to build a company, a team, or a project. You got to be able to relay that vision and make sure you have an awesome team that can help get you to that finish line.
Nice. Now, for question 1C, for the three of the bars. For project mobilization, finances on hand are vital. How much cash on hand, ideally, would you recommend businesses have when starting a project that may have a net 30, net 60, or net 90-day payment schedule? How much bread should you bring to the table before you set your stuff up?
Okay, I have Mike again. Hello. One, you need to know your business. Two, you need to understand, you need to have a financial plan. Okay, because when you're working with the government, there's a little bit more guarantee than working in the private sector. The private sector kind of pays whenever the hell they want to, and you got to know that. And the bigger the company is, a lot of times the bigger the struggles are for doing that. You need a banking relationship. If you don't have one, you need to have one, or you need to have money in the bank, especially if you have people you have to pay. So you have to have a plan. You need to know what that is. If one of my largest customer misses their net 90, I got to have a plan for that. All right, because I have a lot of the more you want some of these, and the bigger the job is, a lot of times the longer the process dollars are out there. So you have to have the strategic plan to know you either have to have the money there, or you have to know how you're going to get the money in the event that this thing doesn't come through. We've taken some innovative steps to where a lot of the millions that we start moving around, that money is coming from a partner. I have that money coming from my partner. It is not coming from us. And then the partner gets paid when we get paid. Don't underestimate the power of negotiation and having a good lawyer, all right, and laying things out. So my partners float a lot of the millions of dollars of things that we move around, because that's the way we have our contracts set up. That's negotiation. That's also innovation. They can afford it. Okay, it's not little money to them either, but if they can afford to do that for extra 15 to 30 days, we've done that. The other thing we've done with those partners is, as opposed to borrowing that money from the bank, we may borrow that money from the partner. At 1%, as opposed to the bank, which is whatever. Don't tell Aaron that I didn't know when he does the thing tonight. But I mean, the bank is 3 or 4 times more than that 1%. right? So get innovative, get creative, ask. I would say the best thing to do is ask. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it. Okay, people only tell you no after you ask, so generally I've learned to ask. So when we're floating millions of dollars, my partners are floating that. My job is to make damn sure the customer pays us, because I don't want my partner hanging out there either, but we found a way to do that without paying 3% and 4% or 5% on a bank loan to get that done, because we just talked about the fact that, we may be making pennies on the job. So so you have to find out when the margins are small like that, come up with some other way to get it done.
Good stuff.
Very good. With the way that engineers close projects out sometimes, I'd say if you want to make $1 million, you better have two.
All righty then. That is what you call a mic drop, folks. Moving on to the right. Tyrone, do you have anything to add, buddy?
When it comes to mobilization, each project mobilization is going to be different. So you got to make sure you stay conservative on your mobilization. So if you know that you don't have the funds to cover that don't talk to your partner, or don't bid on the work, because mobilization leave a lot of people out here, in a bad situation. Because once again, if you have 4 mobs on there and you only bid for 2, you got to find that other 2 mobs, and you can't go to the bank after the fact. You need to know up front. And so being conservative and always knowing where you stand on your mobs, I think you need to take a second and third look at your mob, and having that, like Adonica said, having that relationship with a bank or a partner to make sure that you don't get yourself in a situation that you can't get out of.
Excellent, excellent. As we are continuing on in the DBE Contracting Real Talk, it's time to get into a little bit of nitty-gritty. So galvanized by the recent rescinding of the affirmative action decision by the Supreme Court, there has been a sustained assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and programs by an anti-equity bunch all over the country, including here in Wisconsin. Given the fact that the majority of DBE/minority business program contracts are awarded to white women-owned firms across the country and here in Wisconsin as well, and not to ethnic diverse firms, what does this assault on diversity potentially mean for Black, Brown, Native American, and Asian-owned companies, and has it impacted your specific businesses thus far? America, America.
we lump the DBEs together, but we know that we have a disservice in certain areas of minority participation. And I think it's time to talk about it, because just because we say we did 12% in DBE participation, and we have 1 or 2 businesses that sit in the city of Milwaukee that probably never got a DOT job that year, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So we need to identify that if you're going to go and say DBE, let's talk about the different ethnic groups. Let's talk about minorities. Let's talk about female. Let's really highlight these areas and then track those numbers, because just putting it as one big bucket of DBEs and we hit it. And I know for a fact that it's a contractors that's not, seeing participation like being stated on a lot of these platforms.
I can give a hand to that if you want to. Give a hand. Hold on, before you answer, hey, again, you all, we're talking about moving progressively forward, okay? We like to say that opportunities of a lifetime must happen in the lifetime of the opportunity. We just saw a presentation, Powerful on Implicit Bias, and that was really just point of fact, not to, point fingers or anything like that. We're trying to move forward, but if we cannot discuss openly and honestly what the challenges are, specifically in programs that are specifically designed to redress past, quote-unquote, missteps, then what do we have here? Y'all came to this session because you wanted to keep it real. Many of you all are business owners here, and we're just trying to give information that can help us all move forward, because the rising tide lifts all boats. With that, Quinn, go ahead, sir.
I want to clarify what the question was. You said, how does non-minority DBEs being awarded the majority of DBE work affect me as a DBE?
Yeah, actually, more of the assault on DEI programming, specifically given the fact that the majority of DBE minority business program contracts are awarded to white women-owned firms and not ethnic diverse firms. What does this assault on diversity across the country potentially mean for Black, Brown, Native American, and Asian-owned companies, and has it impacted your business thus far?
I felt in the beginning I wasn't in competition with other saw cutters. I felt like I was in competition with other DBEs. Mm-hmm. And you know, I was screaming merit. You know, I can cut this, I can cut that. I think Adonica was talking at a DBE workshop in front of a crowd of 500 people, and she says, "You can't cut a historical building." And I scream out from the audience, "I can." But you know, merit didn't get the jobs. It was the credibility. But as far as the DBE participation goes, and you know, I've had clients say, "Well, if you don't have the DBE, we're not going to use you for that." But then they in turn use non-minority DBEs. Oh, the biggest one was, okay, so if I can remember this correctly. If I, as a DBE, were to use non-minority employees or broker non-minority employees, the contractor would get 10% DBE utilization for me to use non-minority subcontractors on a job.
Wow.
Where a non-minority can get 100% DBE utilization. And the whole question is, what is disadvantaged? What makes you disadvantaged? And if there's no dollars circulating, let's say in my zip code, I'm not hiring the people that I can directly affect in my community. Where's the money going? If it's staying with non-minorities, it's not in a disadvantaged scenario.
Yeah. Good answer. You can clap for that if you want to.
Not sure how to follow that exactly. Let me think about that. One of the things that we really are talking about, to go back to the way Tim laid out the question, is what is going on and where the assault is. And the answer to that is everybody needs to be aware. Okay, if you're not aware of what's going on, if you're not reading about what's going on, if you're not part of some group, organization, or faction on what is going on, then you can't affect what's going on. Because as an individual, none of us are going to get that changed. Okay, that's not going to happen. It's not even now about the certifying bodies and those types of things, which are aware of what is going on. So that goes back to, again, why you would care about those organizations, because they do have functions and they have folks in place that do follow those things where you may not have time to. But it's also about any other organizations that you belong to where they are aware of what things are going on. Yeah, the average person is so busy, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're so busy doing your job on a day-to-day basis that you can't really follow the news and follow the stuff, and even if you follow that, you don't know which one of those to follow, okay, because there's just so much crap out there. But the bottom line is that is where your mentors, your advisors, your organizations, those things, because they are paying attention to those things. And that's where you're going to get the help and support, because as a singular person, you're not going to be able to move it. You're not going to be able to move the needle. But if you're unaware of it, what I can tell you is it's not going to move at all. So awareness is the first one. The second one is connectivity, connecting to folks who are paying attention to the laws, to the rules, to the Supreme Court rulings, to all of these other things. Now, you can't follow all the stuff that they're doing because it's impossible. You know, we have to do our job on a day-to-day basis. But I would say pick one thing. Just pick one and follow it and be engaged in whatever environment or organization or wherever you can to do what you can do to change those things. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that are coming down are no surprise. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been around a long time. This stuff is no surprise. Everything that is given has a timeline on it. It has an expiration date. And if you're not paying attention to it, it expires before the masses wake up and figure that out. So that's been happening for millennia. This is not new. So it's just one of those things where you just have to decide what is important enough to pay attention to in addition to the other things that we have to do, because it wouldn't matter if we were entrepreneurs or we work for the state or the government or we work for large corporations. Everything's got an expiration date on it, and you just have to be aware that that's there and what impact that's going to have, and if that's the impact outcome that you want.
Nice. This is really juicy conversation. I want to ask a couple more questions. However, I want to leave a little bit of time for our folks in the audience to ask questions as well. Before I do that, as we lighten it up a little bit for those of you all who think that was a little heavy, give us one thing about yourself that's a little known fact. Tyrone. Little known fact.
I like to break dance.
Like the okay.
You know what I'm saying?
He said he likes to break dance. Got a B-boy up here.
Exactly.
All right. You want to give us a little demonstration?
Hey, I'm ready.
Give me your beat, DJ. Give me your beat.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Most of the folks I hang around already know I'm a nerd. So probably a little known fact, probably that I belong to a group called Awkward Nerds, and we do all kind of crazy stuff like Barbie parties and just, Goblin King parties and just stuff that has nothing to do with my job.
Nice.
And nothing to do with the stuff we're talking about, because I don't want anything to do with that when I'm shutting down. So.
Okay, nice.
I wanted to learn a new language, but before I bought Rosetta Stone, I walked into a gym and I saw everybody on the floor rolling around with each other, and I joined that gym, and 3 years later I was the #1 light heavyweight amateur in cage fighting in Wisconsin.
What? Okay. That, folks, is what you call variety. So, if anybody has any questions, I don't know if we have a roving mic. Okay, folks are raising their hands right away. All right, we got, Rob, we got 15 minutes? 15, yeah. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Question.
State your name, please, and then the question.
My name is George Lawrence, Executive Director, Secretary for the National Association of Minority Contractors. Judge Mosley gave a great presentation on illicit bias in the private sector. Obviously, you guys do both public and private work. In the public sector, in the private sector, can you give specific examples where you felt there was some illicit bias that prevented you from getting a job, that you knew you could do the job and you had the qualifications, but you didn't get the job? Please don't use names. Just tell us about the experience as a contractor or consultant.
Thank you, sir. Questions?
I'll be honest, in the private sector, I feel the more closely to my potential. I don't feel like a DBE in the private sector. And I feel like I'm actually competing with my industry in the private sector, and so I can sell my quality. I have the ability to sell. I feel like, whereas in the public sector, like I said, I feel like I'm competing against other DBEs. Just, it doesn't matter if you do trucking or you do landscaping or whatever. I feel like that's who I'm competing with, and I know that in the public sector, I only got a shot to make 1% of what Wisconsin generates in revenue. Whereas in the private sector, I feel like I got a shot to make the whole piece of the pie that's out there in my industry.
Well, one of the things I do know that happens, anybody that's been in the industry, public and private, the company will be on board with the diversity and inclusion. We have project managers, we have project coordinators, that's the gatekeepers that's actually giving your quotes to a competitor for them to beat that number, and it's happening a lot. And so we have to make sure that you have a relationship with this project manager and this coordinator, just like somebody else do. And I'm not, this is not to just be up here complaining, but we know that it happens when your number goes in, and because I've been dealing with this guy for the last 10 years, hey, if you come in here, we'll take your bid. That's happening in our industry. And that's a bias that needs to change.
Improve it. Next question.
Awesome. Dr. Gene Manzanet from WEDC. Each of you described at some level in your careers as business owners, advisors, mentors who have played a major role in your development. Can you elaborate a little bit more, especially for those younger organizations that may be in the room? Give me the nomenclature or the breakdown of a good advisor or mentor. What kind of skill sets did they bring to the table? What type of advice were they bringing to the table? What type of background do they need to be looking for when looking for their appropriate mentor or advisor to help them develop their business?
Well, I'll go way back. Most of the advisors, I'm a black female in tech. Hello. So as hard as you think you got it in construction, welcome to my world. Okay, and it's been this way for the better part of 5 to 6 decades. Okay, so it's one of those things where my mentors were, first of all, folks of integrity. Let's start there. Okay, and because they're people of integrity, if you ask them for help, they truly want to help you. This is their personalities. So if you get people that have that personality, and generally what they are doing, that advice does not have to be in your field. Sometimes you're not asking a question that's specific to what it is you do every day. You're asking a question that's more general on how you can get from point A to point B. Okay, and sometimes you just need somebody to listen and say, these are the problems that I'm running into. I don't know where to go next. I don't know, what I should do. I don't know what options are available to me. So most of the people that I had the ability to have a wider view of the world, a wider field, I would say. And as you go, you start to say, oh, I could use some help learning this thing. My first mentor that was not somebody I knew was a SCORE person that the government provided. And I went through 3 of them to get the one that sort of got it, what I was trying to do, and that was a personality match. So don't be afraid that you may have asked somebody and it's the wrong somebody. It's not that they don't want to help you, it's just not the right match to do that. So I would say that, that from the beginning and now, where I can handpick a leader for a president's group, and I would say that you need to figure out how you're going to stay abreast of what's going on and know what it is you need that you're asking help for. Okay, that person can't fix you. They're sometimes a sounding board, or what am I doing? Or so they should be able to ask you, why are you doing that? Why does that even make sense? And have you checked these other things? So I've got people who have options in life. I've got billionaire friends. They have lots and lots of money. I like to ask them lots and lots of questions. Okay, and I got friends who that have 10 times less than what I have, but they are very smart in the things that they know. So don't confine it to any one box.
Yeah, that was really good. My experience, great mentors have patience. They ask a lot of questions, and they get an understanding of where you're coming from in its entirety before they start giving advice or their opinions. They'll cut the crap out. They'll tell you if something doesn't deserve your energy, or it does deserve your energy, and they really help mold your idealism as an entrepreneur, and they always have an open door. Even if they're busy, they'll connect with you or make time to connect with you. And I think mentorship has been one of the best parts of being in business for me.
I think we have to be careful with our mentorship because you can have a mentor that can help, scale the company up, but you can also have a mentor that just might be there for the emotional support as an entrepreneur. And as an organization, your question, what can an organization provide? You might not be able to provide, to everyone because how many people in your staff that done DOT work? So given that helpful information to that startup, you might not be able to offer that. So I think if in general you can give them the structure of the business, but overall, I think that organization would have to reach out to the individual industry that person is looking to get into, and have them have another mentor that can kind of guide them along the way. Because we have the Black Chambers of Commerce, they do a boot camp. But at the same time, they have to reach out to other mentors with these different businesses that they're trying to serve 3,000 businesses. That they don't have 3,000 people that work in that company, so they have to reach out to other individuals that focus in that. That has the focus in that area, so that they can give them additional resources. So you can help them with the structure, but you got to have somebody that's actually a professional and a master in that industry. That's just my belief.
Good stuff. Next question.
Thank you. My name is Action Jackson, CEO of Jackson's Yard Care. I have two questions. One, I have a lot of times that primes call us a week before the bid is due, and that's another thing that's a problem for us because that doesn't give us the appropriate time to create appropriate quote. So do you call that good faith? And then the second question I have is, do you recommend us going into the union?
I'll take the first half of that. Because I don't work with union stuff, so I can't really answer that one. However, primes calling you a week before, that's universal. Probably everybody here has had that. Here's my strong suggestion: proactive. You need to know who those people are. You need to know who's working on the job, and you need to be proactive in calling them before they call you. Because if they're calling you, they're down to the, oh, we forgot, we got to have 10% on this contract to do X, Y, and Z. We all see that. Personally, I don't ever accept any of those. Okay, because you're running yourself into a wall trying to get all this stuff done when they had 3 or 4 months to call. So, and what happens is you get to the end and they say, oh, well, we looked and we couldn't find anybody, so we want a waiver. Okay, we've all seen that game and know how that game is played. Be preemptive. You have to know that jobs are coming up, what they are, be involved. I know I sound like a drum, but I'm going to go back to if you belong to NAMAC, if you belong to NMSDC, if you belong to your construction this or whatever it is, they know these things are coming down the pike. The minute you know that stuff is coming down the pike, you need to be engaging with the potential folks. I bug the hell out of the general contractors that are doing construction work. I know who they are. I know who the project managers are. So when they say they're going to do this job in Madison or this job in Appleton, or this job in Racine, I know who they are, or I know somebody to call to find out who they are. Because 1 week before the thing is due, there's no probability. They've already decided the price, everything's been predetermined, and you're a plug-in. Why do that? Expend your energy doing something else. Now, I'll let you answer about the other piece.
And you still got to be lowest bidder.
Well, yeah.
With the least amount of time.
Right.
No, I'll just follow up with what Adonica was saying. These projects come out months in advance. I mean, if we're talking about DOT, you can go to the letting and see what's going on in Milwaukee I think at least a month in advance, and you can actually start looking at the quantities, start looking at the plans. So you know what's out there. And if you get a random person that say, hey, we need a number from you, well, I wasn't looking at that one. Actually, that's not in my area, so I can't give you a number for it because I got numbers for, maybe 10, 11, and 12. I didn't look at 14. So if you don't have the time, you don't want to make a mistake. Once again, I told you we have to be conservative when it comes to mobilization and our pricing. Just don't bid the work. It's coming around again next month.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
And the union piece as well.
I got you. Exactly. It's not a good faith effort, especially if it's a large project. But on the other hand, depending on what you do, I didn't hear what your service was. We're set up landscape. Okay, so we're set up to do service. So the majority of my work comes because of a call the day before or the week before. So, they're not those jobs aren't as large as some of these DOT projects. And the part about the union is they're union contractors that only hire union subcontractors. So if you don't want to be limited to the type of clients you can have, then you should join the union.
Got you. We got like 5 minutes time for 2 more questions. One is here. Anybody else have a question?
Good morning. I'm Randy Crump, owner of Prism Technical. We're a 29-year-old diversity and inclusion consulting firm. I'm an electrical engineer by education, and I got frustrated from all the stuff that you're talking about, and I ended up in this business. I was appointed to the board to build the convention center in Milwaukee when it was first built, and found that I could do something about it because I got tired of city and county government letting crap go. And I have ticked off a lot of clients because we don't. And we don't have some jobs to this day because we won't do fraudulent things. This pass-through to somebody like Quinn said. That's ridiculous. So I wanted to ask the question, do any of you have on your website your minority or DBE certification?
I've got 13 of them on my website. So, yeah, and we've got a lot of them that we have that we don't have on there. It depends on what state we're working with because we have a lot of them from different things. But, no, they're there.
And the reason I ask is why? Because some people use that against your firms.
I understand that. But you know what? I busted my ass to get them, and I'm putting them out there. And if they don't want to work with me, I don't care.
My website's a little bit outdated. I look at it and I chuckle at the stuff that I put on there at what I was doing at the time or what I wanted my potential client to think I would do. So I need to update it because I've done a lot since then. But when I started that, when I did my cards and when I did my website, I chose not to put any certifications on there because I wanted people to hire me on my merit.
We get hired on merit, however. Sometimes folks are looking for folks, and it's no difference in the way, and since we do websites, yeah, I can help you with that. I'll take it. You know I ain't gonna charge you, that's why you're gonna let me do it. But it's one of those things, starting out, that's definitely, Quinn brings up a good point, what you want people to see. But a lot of times people are sorting and they're looking for certain things. That's why in the technology and the web business, you have your keywords and that kind of stuff. Your certifications are no different than your keywords. What the hell are they looking for that we do? I'm trying to match a word for a search. Okay, so you have to decide if that has value. And a lot of times we have had calls because some of the folks trying to fill larger jobs, and especially out of state. A lot of out of state folks want to come into Wisconsin to do work. They have to find you. So why they can call, the state and get us off of one of those lists. They can search, or they can have a a web search crawler find it. They can have, the question is, how can we be found to do the things that we do, and how many of those words match what somebody is looking for? So that's something that you have to think about, because they don't have to hire me because I'm a minority or whatever, but sometimes they do. Because they want to do work with, with the Milwaukee Sewerage District, or they want to do this, and we have a search for that. And the contract specifically says they need somebody that is X. They need a woman-owned company. They need a minority-owned company. They need somebody certified with this. So what you don't want to do is cross out people who, I mean, we've had a lot, millions of dollars worth of work come in because they have to have that partner. Then it goes back to, we were a good partner, so now they just use us for a whole bunch of other stuff. But they didn't know us before that. So that's something to consider as well.
For me, I have on our website just what we're capable of doing. We do have highlights where we announce that we're DBE, but at the same time, we don't really just want to put it on every one of our tabs of being disadvantaged. No. Because I'm not claiming disadvantage. I'm just an optimist. I don't believe in claiming disadvantage. So I believe that we can be, we can take advantage of these opportunities. So for me, if it's going to be on there this year, I'm trying to get it off there about, in the next 2 years where I'm no longer disadvantaged. Okay.
You asked the right question, Randy. It's why. Why do you have it there? I'm a tech company, so I know that people search based on word searches and what they're searching for. You want to find my search? You got to go find it on my website. It's there. It's not up front and center. It's you have to hit a tab and go to another tab, and then you can see them all. And the reason we put them there is the actual certification is there. It's not that we're just certified. A lot of times people are looking for that. A lot of the DBE the DEI managers are looking for, or Donica, I'm looking for your certification because they need it. And it's like, don't call me for that. It's on the website. Go get it and download it. Okay?
Last one.
Okay. My name is Kelly Felder, and I'm the Executive Director for the North Avenue Business Improvement District. My background is in construction management. As a black woman, I worked for a very prestigious prime contractor, and I seen a lot of stuff which made me quit because I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore, because I was seeing the disadvantages and the things that were happening. And I know that as subcontractors, the primes want you to be in the green as far as financials. I've seen primes hire people that they knew they were in the red to get them out of the red to the green.
Getting me in trouble.
So, okay, so the question is, do you guys bring other subcontractors in your field to the table to speak to them about mentorship? Do you guys mentor other small contractors besides you having mentors?
I can make that one quick. My entire business, I'm a broker. When we did the Fiserv Forum, we had 10 other companies that were up under us, including people from the community. So the answer is yes, we do that. And the request to do that comes in a lot, because a lot of the times when we work with the other construction companies, they know we do that. So they know we can go into the community. They know that we partner across the United States. And our whole goal is to bring in other folks, because those folks who are under us may not be able to afford the insurance and the money and those kind of things. We can, so we can shelter them to do that. So that helps them grow. So that's part of our mission.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there an application to become qualified to be a mentor somewhere? But
It's called adulting.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like the way I give back is when I see somebody that's receptive to the things that I say, then they're always going to be soaking in advice, and there's some people that come for advice for something specific, and they're kind of closed-minded still, and you can't really give into that. So, but anybody who wants to know something from me can ask.
Yeah, I believe in we got to pay it forward. We got to always be willing to Thank you, Ross. Yes, I am a mentor to other people because I believe in mentors, can definitely help you scale up your business.
We are
Thank you.
over time, folks. Thank you all for coming.